Hello my beautiful people, Julianne here of Julianne Annette Art. Welcome back to my channel, or if you're new here, welcome. If you are new, I'd love it if you consider subscribing. I'd love to have you stick around. Today's video, I am going to introduce you to a new hashtag challenge for 2025 that I am going to be co-hosting with Emilie of eArt Studios. And it's going to be a bingo challenge, and it's going to be, like I said, it's year-long for 2025, and we're calling it 2025 Out of the Box Bingo. I'm going to put the hashtag up top, and I'll also put it in the description. And so the idea here is to just get us to do some things maybe outside our comfort zone. And so obviously some of the things are going to be things that you're comfortable with, because, you know, what one person is comfortable with, another person is uncomfortable with, right? Some of us love portraits, some of us can't stand doing people, or some of us love doing animals, and some of us are terrified of doing fur, or, you know, some of us just stick with markers, or some of us just stick with pencils. So there's all sorts of stuff on here. Some of it might not be uncomfortable for you, but some of it might be a challenge, and that's kind of the idea. So I think I'll zoom you in just a touch. So the way that we've set it up is that each column is a actual category, and, you know, the goal would actually be, hopefully, that over the course of the year you would fill in the whole card. So the 5 categories are color, like, so different types of color themes, medium, so the mediums that you use, technique, so the coloring technique, and then subject, the subject of the page you're coloring, and then scene, so the type of scene. So I'm just going to go through them and show examples where appropriate, or just kind of maybe elaborate a little bit. So for monochrome, that's fairly straightforward. I'm going to insert an image of a Kirby Rosanna's page that I did that was monochrome for Mermaid last year. And so, you know, with this, you can be really, really strict with your monochrome and just stick with, like, if you're doing blue, you're just doing true blue, or you could allow for, you know, blues that lean a little bit more green or a little bit more violet. That's up to you. If you want to call it monochrome, that's good enough, right? I think I'm off center. Sorry about that. It might be my camera. It's not angled right. Anyway, I don't have a printer, so I just had to write everything out. So anyway, that's monochrome. And then for rainbow, again, it's fairly self-explanatory. I'm going to insert an image of a rainbow page that I did do. And again, it was from Mermaid. And so, you know, you can do neon rainbow or pastel rainbow or just normal traditional rainbow, however you like. Maybe you could just, like, go really deep, dark jewel tones, however you like. And then muted. So muted is, you know, the colors that have the gray, kind of gray added to them. So they're kind of grayed out, they're desaturated. They're not your brights, and they're not like your normal bright pastels. They're just kind of, like I said, they're kind of grayed out. And I'm gonna put a picture that I can find in, just to show you a couple examples of some muted colors. And the next is complementary, which is your colors that are just opposite each other on the color wheel. So like the blue and orange, or purple and yellow, or red and green. Just using them, yeah, so that the main focus of the page is complementary, right? And then the last one is warm versus cool. So there's a couple ways that you could do this. You could do just like make your page all warm colors, or make your page all cool colors, or you could do something a little bit different. And I'm going to show you like Kirby Roseanne's has a lot of these type of images, like this, where we have the fire dragon and the water dragon. And then with a page like this, you know, you could really play into the cool watercolors and the warm fire colors. So, you know, that would be something really, really cool to do with the warm versus cool. But like I said, you don't have to. You could just choose to do just a cool page or just a warm page. So that's the warm versus cool. And then for the mediums, I think they're, you know, fairly obvious. We have the pencils, which is your colored pencils. Markers, they could be alcohol markers, they could be water-based markers. Paints is, you know, acrylic paint pens, or like actual acrylic paints kind of thing. If you know, maybe if you're doing your paint by numbers and you're using all entirely acrylic paint pens for it, you know. And then pastels and crayons. Again, fairly obvious, your soft pastels, your Crayola crayons, however, anything in that variety. And then we have the watercolor. So for the watercolor or water activated, then that's your watercolor paints, but then also like your Inktense or your actual water activated, like your watercolor pencils. Or I feel like the Neocolor 2s could almost go into the watercolor or the pastel crayon. So, you know, maybe, however, I don't know. So I had a little notebook. No, I had a page. I had a page here. Okay, so onto technique. For collage, I haven't done any collage myself, so I'm going to show you a picture of Emilie's collage that she has done, which was a really, really cool piece that she did, and she did it for her school, and it had a lot of meaning behind it. And so, you know, the collage is like taking things out of your magazines or maybe other coloring books or newspapers or whatever, but just kind of gluing things on. Maybe it's fabric that you're using, but that concept of gluing the things on. And then I'm also going to insert in the description, I'm going to put a link, Color and Collage with Ems. I think that's her name, and I'll put it up on the top if I'm wrong. But she has a video where she shows all of the different collage pages that she's done, all of the different altered pages that she's done. And so she's got a lot of collage in there. So there's some good inspiration in there. So I'm going to insert, like I said, I'll put the link to the video in the description. So next is Galaxy White Lines. And we put Galaxy White Lines because everybody knows what it is for the most part. Like, again, I'm going to put an image that Emilie, she's actually done 2 of them. One is like the galaxy background with white lines, and then I think the other one she did some metallic lines. But there's also What Colorful Worlds did one where she actually made it black and she made the lines neon, and I'm going to insert a picture of that. And I believe on her channel she has a tutorial for how she did that. So basically the idea that we're going with is that you're not coloring in the whole image. You're kind of playing with the background and the lines, but not coloring it traditionally. That's kind of what we're going for there. So mixed media. I know that mixed media and collage, there's a lot of overlap, but when we're saying mixed media, we're just kind of saying like the whole kitchen sink, your markers, your pencils, your gel pens, your paint pens, you know, neocolors, watercolors, just like mixing it all up and throwing in the whole kitchen sink. That's kind of what we're going with that. Add your own element. I'm going to show you a picture. I don't have it with me, unfortunately, so I'm going to have to show the picture. But in Joanna Basford's Lost Ocean, I had done this page and I printed out free printables online, and I added a Sebastian and Flounder from Little Mermaid, and so, you know, basically added them in and made the page my own, which I'm going to insert the picture and show you how that looks, or how it turned out. This is my second copy. They had sent me, I got it from Book Outlet, and they had sent it to me, and then there's pages that were already colored, and so then they sent me a free one, a replacement for free. So I just keep that. That's basically like a practice book for me. So that is that. Next is the stippling, hatching, and scrumbling. I'm gonna zoom you back in. So yeah, the last technique is stippling, hatching, scrumbling. So stippling is like the little dots. So I have this one here that I did with stippling, how all the shading on everything is kind of done with just with dots. And you can do stippling with like marker. I think it's probably easier with marker or maybe paint pen than it is with colored pencil, or the same, maybe you could do it with like different paints. And then hatching and scrumbling. So I'm just gonna like show you very quick examples. Like hatching is, you know, I want to make sure that you can see. So, you know, where you're doing your shading and you're doing kind of lines, and then you cross hatch and you do your other lines. And then you just kind of add in more lines. I'm not doing it well. I'm not going to claim that I am. But the kind of your shading ends up being done with this hatching. Cat and Paste, when she does her images with the crayon, and then she kind of goes back over and she has this scraper, but she kind of does some hatching with the scraper. So, you know, something like that. I'd love to try to do how she does it. And then I just want to make sure you guys are in frame. And then the scrumbling is like, basically you're doing the same thing, but it's literally just like little scribbles. And so you're kind of doing looser scribbles and tighter scribbles to achieve the shading, you know. And then you're going more over where you want it darker. So that's my very, very rudimentary explanation of how to do it. You can go online for better versions, but I just wanted to give a basic, just show you a little basic. So next we have subject. Person, pretty obvious. We're looking for humans, like actual humans. Animal, we're looking for animals, real animals, like Boule de Poil is a great one for all sorts of cute animals that are real animals. Because then we have fantasy humanoids. So that's where we have our fairies and our mermaids and our witches and wizards and elves and gnomes and any kind of humanoid looking body, or aliens maybe. And then fantastical beasts. So those are your, you know, like of dragons and wyverns and Loch Ness monster, and I guess any kind of monster or anything, you know, like a lot of these guys in here are, you know, none of them are real looking animals. So they're, if it doesn't look like an actual animal and it's not humanoid, then it's a fantastical beast. Go ahead and use ghosts or anything, right? And then portrait, which again is fairly self-explanatory, just head and shoulders, not the whole body. So if you're looking at a person and it's got the whole body, then it counts as a person. And if it's just the head and shoulders, it counts as a portrait. You know, like Christine Karen has a lot of people, and you know, we have like the Daria Kakasoi and Hannah Lynn's and all sorts of stuff that you can do for those ones. And for the portrait, it could be an animal portrait. It doesn't have to be just a human. And then the last category is realistic, or the scenes. And so we have realistic, which is kind of, again, straightforward. We're looking at like normal scenes, like Teresa Goodridge is a great example of having realistic scenes. And then fantasy scenes, again, you know, Kirby Roseanne's is a great one for fantasy scenes, right? There's all sorts of stuff that's not. So like she could be a fantasy humanoid, or this guy could be a fantastical beast. This whole image could be done entirely cool colors, right? The one thing we do ask though is that you try not to go with multiple prompts out of the same category for one image. Like you could use a prompt from each category in an image, but we do ask you to not, like, don't do the person and the animal and the fantastical beast all in one shot. So that was the fantasy. And then next is space sci-fi. So space is kind of obvious because it's space. And I'm just going to set the books aside here. So yeah, the space is a little bit obvious, but for sci-fi, things like, you know, robots, like R.J. Hampson has his, I don't know, does he have an entire robot book, or I'm not sure if they're in an actual book, but like we've got a lot of these kinds of things in pop manga that are like, you know, mechanical things. They look pretty sci-fi. She's also got, you know, this robot, which I adore these pages. I absolutely love the robot. You know, so I would call this sci-fi. So that's kind of what we're thinking for sci-fi. Anything that qualifies as sci-fi in your mind, though, will do. Underwater, again, I think it's fairly obvious. Scenes that are actually underwater, or things like this, you know, where a good portion of it is underwater and has an underwater aspect. Again, you know, this could count for underwater and a fantastical beast. This, yeah, is it entirely in? Sorry for all the zooming in and out, but I want you guys to be able to see the page when I'm reading off of it. And that was from Magical Worlds by Joanna Basford. And then the last is steampunk. And steampunk, we have, you know, like Hannah Lynn has, like, you know, this one's fairly steampunk. With the girl and her goggles, and you know, like steampunk tends to have like lots of gears and dirigibles. Is that, you know, like the airships and stuff, steam powered things, and then in Menagerie we have like these guys, and you know, we have all the gears here. This one with all of its gears, I would say that those things are steampunk. Also, I think Hannah Lynn has an entire Steampunk Darlings book, and I think Tatiana Bogema-Stylova has a couple steampunk books, and R.J. Hampson has a steampunk book. So, you know, there's lots of steampunk out there. Also, just, you know, if it has elements, like I said, like, you know, things that look like this with the goggles and stuff, if it feels steampunky to you, then that's, go ahead and use it. So that's basically it. Like I said, it's going to be a year-long tag. The whole idea is to get us doing things that we haven't done before, or that maybe we're not as comfortable with, and get us out of our comfort zone, which is why it's called 2025 Out of the Box Bingo. So when you do your pages, be sure to tag myself and Emilie Art Studios. I'm going to put her name up top and in the description as well. And we will be posting it on Instagram as well. And again, like I said, the only thing, like, go ahead and use something from each category on an image, but we do ask you to not use multiple things from one category on an image, if that makes sense to you. Anyway, that's it. I'm really excited about this. Emilie and I are both excited about it, and we're looking forward to seeing what you guys do with it. I think there's a lot of open, there's open to interpretation and open to what you do with it, and I think that's really exciting. So hopefully we see some fun creative things come out of it, and yeah, I'm excited to see what comes of it, and hopefully you guys like this and enjoy participating. So thank you for watching, and thanks for listening to me try to explain this, albeit somewhat poorly maybe. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Be kind to yourselves out there. Bye-bye.